Avengers versus the X-Men. Two of Earth's greatest superhero teams are fighting against each other? We could go on and on explaining why this hectic and long battle happened, but instead we'll give you the short answer. The Phoenix Force. Prepare for the Phoenix. When Nova, aka Sam Alexander, comes crashing into the Earth's atmosphere at max speed, he gives the Avengers there a chilling warning. It's coming. Having witnessed the Phoenix Force reborn and on its way, Nova did his best to beat the Firebird back home, giving our heroes about 1 week to prepare. With the Phoenix fast approaching, the Avengers are understandably worried. I mean, after Jean Grey's turn as the host. However, Cyclops and the X-Men have quite the opposite mindset. They welcome the Phoenix Force as a rebirth for mutants, especially following the events of M-Day. In fact, most of the mutant community already expects the next host to be the mutant messiah, Hope Summers. At the moment, she's training with Cyclops when she feels the Phoenix's approach, manifesting its powers for a brief moment. Although scared of what might happen to Hope following Jean's turn as the host, Scott truly believes the Firebird will bring the mutant race back from the brink of extinction. Meanwhile, the Avengers are having a meeting with the President, telling him how much of a danger the Phoenix Force is. They've sent a team to stop it before it arrives on Earth. But just then, Tony Stark's alarms go off. A massive energy flare has appeared somewhere on the planet. But before going to check it out, Captain America and the rest of his team stop by the Jean Grey School for Higher Learning to talk to the headmaster, Wolverine, and ask for his help. After that's done, the Avengers make their way over to Utopia Island, home of the many X-Men and where Hope is currently training. As the X-Men argue about what to do against the incoming Phoenix Force, Captain America arrives on the island. He tells Cyclops that the Avengers will need to take Hope into protective custody. Though there's some animosity between the two leaders, Cyclops manages to keep it civil, telling Cap that this is a mutant problem, and as such, he and his people will handle this. Cap argues back, saying that this isn't a mutant versus human problem and that Scott and the rest of his people are too close to the issue. They need to stand down. Done with talking, Scott tells Cap, "Respectfully, get the hell off my island." In a last attempt at talking things out, Cap lets Scott know he wasn't really asking. Fully understanding, Cyclops shoots an optic blast at him. With that, war is officially on, and Captain America sounds the war call. "Avengers, assemble!" Right then, the cloaked helicarrier reveals itself. Inside is an army of Avengers, ranging from Daredevil to Doctor Strange. As Hope Summers is pulled away from the battlefield, we see the Phoenix flash in her eyes. It's about to go down. But before the fighting begins, be sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications on to never miss an upload, and smash that like button for some plot armor today. As the rest of the X-Men gather, each side wonders if this is actually about to happen. But all hell breaks loose when Magneto lifts Colossus and sends the literal ball of steel through the helicarrier. This causes the Avengers to fall through the air and into the cold, Namor-infested sea below. It's pure pandemonium as longtime friendships are ruined, old disputes and grudges resurface, and families reunite under the worst of circumstances. Hell, even husband and wife are going at it. Some fighters don't even have any grudges, but boy are they throwing down. Watching all this unfold is Hope, and she is over just sitting on the sidelines. Though her classmates try to stand against her, it's futile as she's now completely channeling a portion of the insanely powered Phoenix Force. Breaking away from the fighting, Wolverine and Spider-Man manage to sneak into the room where she's being held just in time to witness this. Upon seeing the familiar flames, Wolverine knows exactly what needs to be done. However, the Phoenix knows what's coming and stops Wolverine, igniting his insides and the air itself. Moments later, the Avengers and X-Men rush into the room to find our class of mutants, Wolverine, and Spidey all knocked out on the floor. Logan with lots of smoke coming off of him. As for Hope, she's already escaping, using some of the soon-to-arrive Phoenix power. On their side, the team that was sent out to intercept the Firebird in deep space seems to have come face-to-face with their target. The bad news? They doubt they can put a stop to this incredible force. But as Thor puts it, "If we fail, whole worlds will perish, beginning with our own. Stand fast, my friends. Today is as good a day as any to die." Back in Utopia, one very naked Wolverine wakes up with a scream. Spider-Man quickly fills him in on the situation. Seeing as how Logan had just had his entire body burned, he's been healing for the past hour. Meanwhile, Hope has disappeared off the map while Cyclops and his people have surrendered to Cap and the Avengers. As Iron Man and Captain America debate on how to deal with the X-Men, their new prisoners, a fully healed Wolverine joins them. Immediately sensing that something is wrong, Logan runs at Cyclops despite Captain America's orders. He's quickly proven right when Magic, who was disguised as Doctor Strange, frees her allies and teleports them out of Avengers custody. The Avengers got duped, and pretty badly. Now with a significant start against their enemies, the X-Men try to plan how they'll find Hope. To start, they'll need to use Cerebra, which at the moment is stationed at Wolverine's school. Looks like it's time for Cyclops to call in some favors. On Hope's side, we see that she's still in San Francisco, raiding a closed tech store for parts. Finished with her wrist device, she glances into a mirror, only to find the Phoenix staring right back at her. Quickly running out of the store, Hope tells herself all she needs is something that can fly and prays the device she made will scramble her location. Lucky for her, the device works. When the Avengers call Rachel Summers, she tells them that Cerebra has tracked Hope to 5 different locations. Despite seeming to be on the side of the Avengers, Rachel gives both factions the coordinates, making it a race. Upon gathering the Avengers, Captain America gives out orders. One team will be heading out to each of the 5 locations. The places are Wundagore Mountain, Tabula Rasa, Wakanda, Latveria, and the Savage Lands. Then, the Avengers move out. As Captain America boards the jet, he calls Wolverine to meet him in the back, condemning the mutant for his actions on Utopia. He tells Logan that he hasn't been following orders, and, as such, can't be trusted for this mission. Although Wolverine has valid reasons for his actions, being one of the few present when the Phoenix first descended, Captain America will not let him kill Hope, no matter what the situation calls for. Demanding that Logan sit this one out, the two men start fighting in the back of the Quinjet. Though Cap manages to get a couple of good hits in, it's obvious that Wolverine has the upper hand. At that, Cap gives up on the one-on-one tactic and calls for Giant Man. With their combined might, they manage to push Wolverine out of the open airlock and into the extreme cold of the Antarctic. After spending some time cursing Cap, Cyclops, and pretty much everyone else, Wolverine stands up, telling himself, "Alright then, guess it's all up to me." Before that, though, Logan has to find his way out of the freezing snowstorms. Using the hide of a polar bear to stay warm, Logan follows a trail of deliberately placed bears, eventually leading him to Hope Summers. Popping his claws, Wolverine approaches her. Switching to the intercepting team, we see them give their best attempt at holding back the Phoenix Force. In all honesty, it can't even be called an attempt. Aside from Thor, the heroes are all knocked unconscious. Seeing as how Thor can barely even touch the Firebird, let alone land an attack, he's inevitably next to go down. With that terrifying sight, we return to Wolverine and Hope, who have decided to talk things out. Well, Hope talks and Wolverine drinks beer. The girl points out Wolvie's blatant hypocrisy. He runs a school dedicated to showing students they can be more than what people say they are. Deep down, Hope knows that Logan thinks she deserves a chance, and that's all she wants. Somehow, this convinces him, and Wolverine agrees to help her, on the condition that if she loses control, Logan will put a stop to her, permanently. With that sorted out, Hope and Logan set off. The first step of Hope's plan is going to require a bigger ship. Meanwhile, the rest of the X-Men and Avengers scramble to find Hope. At this point, many of Wolverine's students and staff have joined Cyclops against the Avengers, sharing the same beliefs as him. Thanks to their new allies, Emma is able to use Cerebra freely, looking at everything around the globe. All Emma sees is fighting between the X-Men and Avenger teams at each location. Once again, it's chaos as heroes fight and grudges are finally settled. And of course, in Latveria, there are Doombots. Still unable to find Hope, Scott instructs Emma to tap into Cap's mind. Eavesdropping on Tony and Cap's conversation, she hears Tony's plans to build Phoenix-killing armor. How predictable of him. Luckily, she's able to find Hope's location when Wolverine radios Cap, telling him exactly where he and the girl are going to be in a few hours. The moon. Guess that's why Hope needed a bigger ship, one that they seem to be taking from an AIM base. It's technically not stealing if you're the good guys, right? After a bloody fight and some confusion over the instructions, Hope and Wolverine blast off. On the moon, they find the Avengers already there waiting for them. But before they can even have a conversation with Hope, the X-Men teleport in. Immediately, the two groups get agitated, and before the fighting can start, something crashes into the moon's surface. At the sight, the heroes are surprised to discover it's Thor. He points upwards before going unconscious, signaling the fast-approaching Phoenix Force. Time is running out for Hope Summers. Despite everyone seeing Thor, a literal god, get sent flying through the cosmos by the Phoenix, the Avengers and X-Men are still fighting, with both sides refusing to stand down. While they clash, Hope struggles to stay in control as the Firebird gets closer and closer. After a while, Hope briefly lets the Phoenix's power seep through her, knocking back everyone present. Knowing that her plan won't work, Hope asks Wolverine to respect his part of their agreement, to kill her. Standing over Hope, Logan is about to end it all. But Cyclops manages to stop him with an optic blast at the last second. So, yet again, the fighting between the two superhero teams starts. Meanwhile, Tony Stark and Hank Pym put the finishing touches on Tony's appropriately named Phoenix Killer armor. With the heroes busy fighting, the Phoenix arrives on the moon, presenting itself in all its glory. Automatically, powerful psychics such as Charles Xavier and his son Legion feel this blast of energy, along with the mythical warriors of Kunlun and the Scarlet Witch. As everyone stares into the light, Stark activates his disruptors and flies right into the enormous Firebird. Whatever he did seems to have done something, as an extremely bright flash goes off, sending everyone flying. As they soon learn, Tony did not kill the Phoenix. Instead, he split its power into 5 pieces. You can probably guess where this is going. Namor, Magic, Colossus, Emma Frost, and Cyclops each receive a portion of the split Phoenix Force, thus becoming all-powerful. With their terrifying upgrades, Cyclops and the others set one thing straight. Hope will be returning home with them. With that, they return to Earth, leaving behind a fiery trail. The perfect Phoenix 5. 10 days after the creation of the Phoenix 5, the world is actually a better place than ever before. Sharing everything he and his other Phoenix-powered mutants are doing, Cyclops tells his mentor, Charles Xavier, the highlights of the best changes so far. In the Horn of Africa, Magic is using her amplified magical powers to create crops and revive barren lands. In Russia, Colossus has created massive greenhouses full of ready-for-harvest crops. Deep in the seas, Namor is handling underwater pollution, and Emma Frost has solved the issue of clean and free energy. By doing this, Cyclops wishes to improve people's view of mutant kind, ending violence between the races and allowing mutants to finally live peacefully, something that Xavier himself has long been chasing. As Cyclops says, "Here is your dream, Charles. I have given it to you." However, it's shown that not everyone is happy with the developments the Phoenix 5 are making. Checking in with the Earth's mightiest, we see them debrief following a mission where they were saved by one of the Phoenix 5. Instead of fighting the enemy, Colossus spoke to them in their native tongue, reaching a peaceful solution. With this info, Cap turns to his team of experts, asking them what they've created to defeat the Phoenix-powered mutants. Black Panther asks an important question. Do the Avengers truly need to be preparing to take down the X-Men? After a brief moment of silence, Iron Man lists some options, but is interrupted, this time by Beast, who frustratedly asks what they're doing. Cap and Wolverine quickly respond, preparing for the worst. Visibly angry, Beast points out that the people he has known for his entire life are actively making the world a better place, and he's here with Earth's mightiest heroes concocting a plan to take them down, even possibly killing them. At his limit, Beast walks out. Over on the X-Men side of things, Cyclops has another discussion, this time with Hope. As the topic shifts to the Phoenix Force, Scott asks her, if she were offered the Force now, would she take it? Without hesitation, she says yes. However, Cyclops is quick to remind her that she already rejected the power once, hence he doesn't think she deserves it now. After all, would a child have accomplished all that the 5 have? Walking away, Cyclops promises more will come from their team. Having solved a majority of the world's problems, they turn their attention to military powers next, by destroying most weapons of destruction such as tanks, sentinels, nukes, and warships. Though Cyclops and his other powered mutants believe themselves to be a brand new force for good, their actions have been seen in the past by those in the mythical city of Kunlun. Reading from the books of prophecy and past, the Thunderer learns the key to stopping all of this. The Iron Fist. As the Phoenix 5 continue creating their perfect world, they move on to the next logical step, world peace. In front of the world leaders, Cyclops tells them all the darkest days of mankind have passed, and they can now go on to build great new things. But no more weapons of death. Levitating, Cyclops tells the summit, from this day forward, we declare no more war. The Thunderer isn't the only one who can see what's coming in the near future. The Scarlet Witch is also having strange visions of the Avengers being burned away by flames, the Firebirds standing over their ashen corpses. Speaking of Earth's mightiest, despite the Beast's speech, they're still moving forward with plans against the Phoenix 5. Increasingly aggressive, the heroes gear up and break into Utopia to extract Hope. Dropping in a team of Avengers minus Black Panther, they enter a nearby building where they find their target. As they're about to leave, Cyclops and Emma Frost arrive on the scene. The Avengers stand absolutely no chance against the combined might of two Phoenix-powered mutants, but the tables quickly turn when the Scarlet Witch teleports in ready to battle. However, she isn't there to fight for either side. She's come to beg Scott to stop for all man and mutant kind. She'll even teleport the Avengers out of Utopia and end this conflict. At that moment, Hope jumps up and says she's leaving with the Avengers and Wanda. As Wanda prepares, Cyclops grabs her wrist to try and stop them. However, when he touches her, it burns. Immediately pulling back, Scott holds his hand in shock. As the group slowly fades, Wanda tells Cyclops that this is just how things need to be for now, and not to be upset with her or the Avengers' actions. Once they've completely disappeared, Scott bends down to collect a piece of Cap's helmet. While looking at the logo, Cyclops tells Emma he's tired of all this, officially declaring, "No more Avengers." To kick off their war against them, the Phoenix Five take over each of the heroes' known bases. The Tower, Mansion, and even Avengers Academy are cleared, but strangely enough, the heroes aren't present at any of these locations. Instead, they're found by magic in an abandoned warehouse. Upon realizing that Wanda is one of the few people who has the ability to hurt the Five, the Avengers have her fighting in nearly every battle. Wanda quickly proves why she's the Avengers' trump card when she manages to knock back magic, beating her out in a battle of raw power. However, victory is short-lived because Emma Frost arrives. Knowing even with Wanda they can't handle two Phoenixes, Doctor Strange prepares a transportation spell, but Emma is already closing in on Wanda. Understanding what has to be done, Clint shoots an explosive arrow at Emma, angering and briefly distracting her, giving Strange just enough time to teleport Wanda and the others out of there. Annoyed with Barton's interference, Emma uses the Phoenix's power to burn Hawkeye to a crisp, leaving him in critical condition. That's twice now that a hero has been treated like this by someone with Phoenix powers. We're beginning to notice a trend. Back in Utopia, Cyclops chastises Emma for her actions, telling her, "We finally have the power to remake the world in our image," sounding a bit villainous there. Scott continues saying that the five of them must get along and cannot kill those who disagree with them. Emma says she wasn't trying to kill Clint, she just got mad and the powers took over. Besides, it's not like he's dead, she can heal him. But Namor is tired of all this, announcing that they should just kill the whole lot. This is war after all. Magic seems to agree with this, but only regarding the Scarlet Witch, whom Ilyana believes has evil within. Scott once again reminds them that this is not a war and they should behave themselves accordingly. With that, he orders that Hawkeye be healed and then held in the brig with the rest of their prisoners. Almost like prisoners of a war that Cyclops refuses to acknowledge exists. On the Avengers side of things, we see them gathered in Wakanda, waiting on something, anything from the geniuses. But despite their research, they haven't been able to produce results that could pose a threat to the Phoenix Five. Instead, they have more questions than answers. Delivering this news to the group, Hope fills them in on what they need to know and how they'll survive until the geniuses make a breakthrough. To put it simply, their solution is the Scarlet Witch. The Phoenix wielders are clearly scared of her, and she's the only one who can truly hurt them. The Avengers will be utilizing this fear with the enchantments of Icon, a magical item provided by Doctor Strange that creates illusions around the user. Using this, the Avengers will disguise themselves as Wanda. This doesn't work for very long, as the Phoenix Five quickly realize they're being duped and retaliate. However, Namor makes the grave mistake of attacking the real Wanda Maximoff, something he learns to regret when he's overpowered and teleported away with just 2 words and a touch from her. Despite this terrifying show of power, Cyclops insists that the X-Men are winning, something that angers Namor, who doesn't believe Scott is taking this seriously. At the same time, Tony finds a shocking connection between the Phoenix's power and Wanda's. His revelations are interrupted by Iron Fist and the Thunderer, who come bearing important news. They know how and where to train Hope. Kunlun. The Avengers begin packing for Kunlun immediately, and it's a good thing they are because, thanks to Emma, Namor knows that they're hiding out in Wakanda, and he's coming for them without restraint. This is war. Attack on Wakanda. Flooding the city, the King of Atlantis has lost it. He's killing innocents without a care in the world and destroying city buildings. The Avengers immediately rush out to try and restrain the Phoenix, while Iron Man, Wolverine, Thunderer, and Hope jump through the portal to Kunlun, shutting it so their enemies can't follow. The remaining Avengers put forth their best efforts to fight Namor, but after a severe beating, he simply stands up and retaliates. He takes out each of them, leaving a single hero standing. When Cyclops catches wind of this, he immediately brings his team to Wakanda, arriving just in time to witness Namor's defeat at the hands of the Scarlet Witch. Strangely enough, when he falls, Namor's piece of Phoenix power transfers to the other 4 who just arrived. Seeing that the X-Men have just leveled up, Cap calls for a retreat while opening a portal to Kunlun. With the Avengers gone, the Phoenix Four look on in shock, but it's cut short when Professor X scolds Scott and the others psychically. He warns them that this is their last chance. Stop or I'll stop you. The escaped Avengers have all gathered in Kunlun and are trying to understand what just happened. They finally managed to defeat one of the Phoenixes, only to make the others stronger. As the Thing says, so even when we win, we lose. In their desperate situation, everyone turns to Cap for answers, and he has none to give. Jailbreak. It's been 8 days since the Avengers arrived, and they still don't have much of a plan. At this rate, it's clear that the Avengers will need more manpower, but the Phoenix Four have planned for that, capturing multiple heroes and keeping them locked up. Meanwhile, Tony hasn't gotten any closer to finding any solutions. Hope trains every day but has yet to make a breakthrough. The Avengers truly have nothing going for them. On the bright side, it seems the other mutants are finally realizing that the Phoenix has corrupted its 4 wielders. Soon after, Storm and a group watch on in horror as Colossus and Magik lock Thor up in their volcanic prison. The remaining heroes aren't the only ones having issues, though. The Phoenix hosts are having trouble controlling their powers after receiving Namor's piece. Emma, for example, can now hear every thought on the planet, and it's driving her mad. No one has secrets anymore. Not from me. In the destroyed city of Wakanda, Black Panther is doing his best to help his people rebuild. Alongside him is Storm, his wife, who begs him to talk to her. Finally, T'Challa responds by telling her that she must stop coming here. After all, these aren't her people anymore. All X-Men have been branded enemies of Wakanda. Not only that, but the High Priest of the Panther clan has annulled their marriage. Though heartbroken, Storm manages to keep it together long enough to tell T'Challa that she only came to get in touch with the Avengers. She has valuable information as to where their allies are being held. With a plan already formed, the Avengers rush to the prison site, naively hoping to catch the Phoenix Four by surprise. After meeting with Professor X and the rest of the defected X-Men, the rescue party rushes into the volcano, only to be met by hell on Earth, courtesy of the ruler of the Limbo Dimension, Magik. Though the heroes manage to sneak in and find their allies, they're stopped before they can begin freeing them. Magik and Colossus are on the scene. It's 2 Phoenixes versus the few remaining Avengers, and Wanda isn't even present. The heroes don't stand a chance. Realizing this, Spidey steps up to make a sacrifice. Sealing off the exit, he traps himself with the 2 Phoenix-empowered mutants in an attempt to hold them back while the others escape. Though the odds are definitely not in his favor, Spidey isn't going down without a fight. Even after taking multiple brutal hits, Peter manages to stand back up, powered by sheer willpower. Eventually, after the Avengers escape and Peter's probably broken every bone in his body, he manages to use his loud mouth to cause the siblings to take each other out. Reminding them that one will get stronger if the other falls was really all they needed to start throwing down. When the Avengers return for Spidey, they find the 2 Phoenix hosts unconscious and depowered, with a heavily injured Spider-Man standing victorious over them. This should be a great victory for the heroes, but as we've seen, when one Phoenix falls, the others grow more powerful. Something Cyclops proves when he rips open the dimensional gate between Earth and Kunlun, telling Hope it's time to come home. Siege on Kunlun. Iron Fist tries to hold back Cyclops while Hope rushes to find her mentor, Lai Kang. Easily pushing aside the hero's futile attempt, Scott begins to follow the girl while laying Kunlun to ruins. Scott finds 3 more Avengers blocking his way, but before they can even properly stand, he wipes them all out with a sweeping optic blast. With that taken care of, he switches his attention to Hope, only to find her atop a dragon that breathes green fire. Fire that, for some reason, can hurt him. Though surprised and trying to understand what just happened, Cyclops quickly strikes the dragon down, leading to a stare down between the 2 forces. Using her training, Hope is able to harness the dragon's power, sending Scott flying backwards before running away. Chasing after her, the 2 run right into Scarlet Witch, who launches a chaos attack at the Phoenix user. However, he's completely unaffected by the attack and somehow keeps going forward. Now that he's been powered up, Wanda's magic isn't enough to hurt him anymore. As everyone panics, Hope steps in, this time harnessing and combining Wanda's chaos magic with her mythical training. And with only 2 words, Hope sends Scott to the moon, seriously injuring him. In fact, it takes him about an hour just to stand back up after that attack. The first thing he does when he's recovered is to declare that he needs Emma's portion of the power to win this. As the Avengers celebrate their first real victory, Magneto is finally able to admit that the Phoenix users have been corrupted by the Firebird. Opening his mind to Charles Xavier, he pleads for help. The final battle. It's not just Magneto asking for help, but the Avengers as well. If they're gonna win this final battle, they will need power. And who better to recruit than the strongest there is, the Hulk. The remaining X-Men are also switching sides. Having seen Cyclops and Emma go too far, they're now seeking asylum with the Avengers and Professor X. After much discussion, the teams have now come together to take on a common threat, the 2 corrupted Phoenix forces. Despite losing most of their allies, Scott and Emma seem unfazed. Instead, the 2 argue over each other's thoughts, debating the likelihood of one betraying the other for the Firebird's full power. Right as they're about to fight, they're interrupted by the arrival of Professor X. However, as Scott quickly learns, it isn't just Xavier who's arrived, but also the rest of the Avengers and the X-Men. After repeatedly getting bombarded with attacks from people he once called friends, Scott finally snaps. Apologizing to Emma, he flies up and strikes her in the back to steal her portion of the Phoenix Force. At this point, it's no longer Avengers vs. X-Men, but everyone versus Scott Summers. Trying to make Scott see reason, Professor X taps into his mind. But with Scott now being the sole Phoenix host, he easily kicks Charles out of his thoughts. Attempting to reach him one last time, Xavier demands he stop, but Scott can't be reasoned with. In a fit of rage, he uses the Phoenix to its fullest extent, instantly killing the man he once considered a father. With tears in his eyes, Scott yells at the Avengers and Captain America, asking if this is what they wanted. Having seen enough, Wolverine turns to the Hulk. "Throw me." But not even Wolverine's Cannonball Special can stop Scott, as he simply burns Wolverine to a crisp. And finally, what the Avengers have been trying to avoid since the start of this whole event happens. Scott goes Dark Phoenix. All around the world, the effects of Scott's transformation can be felt. Volcanoes erupt, meteors fall, and cities collapse. The heroes try their best to handle the issues as they arise, while also attempting to take down the root of this whole problem, but nothing seems to work. As Scott puts it, you would have a better chance of stopping the sun from rising by throwing pebbles at it. With no other options, Iron Man calls for any available Avenger or X-Men to help with their last stand. Answering the call is the young Nova, who, at full speed, drags Scott back to Hope and the Scarlet Witch. Using her training to assimilate Wanda's powers and boost herself like the Iron Fist does, the 2 do significant damage. Thanks to the additional support from the Avengers and X-Men, the heroes have Scott on the ropes. With one more punch, the Firebird leaves him. This time, it sets its sights on Hope and joins with her. Upon taking in the Force, Hope begins to blitz around the planet, fixing everything Cyclops ruined before eventually presenting herself in front of the X-Men and Avengers as the Phoenix. Knowing how it feels to be the prophesized one and having her destiny written out, Wanda steps forward to try and talk with Hope and break through to her. Finally, she convinces Hope to end this and end the Phoenix. Hope and Wanda hold hands and declare, "No more Phoenix." Immediately, the Phoenix Force is spread throughout the globe, powering and creating mutants all across the planet, just as Cyclops hoped. Speaking of Scott, all the heroes watch as he rises from the ashes, seemingly healed. Later, in a specially crafted ruby quartz prison cell, Scott sits in a meeting with Captain America. The mutant states that, though under the influence of the Phoenix, he takes full responsibility for his actions. Feeling as though he's also partially responsible, Cap plans to create a new team of heroes, consisting of both Avengers and X-Men. But Summers shouldn't see this as a win for mutants. After all, this war of his has created wounds that will take years to heal if they ever do. With their exchange over, Cap turns to leave, asking Wolverine if he's got anything to add. "No, I've got a eulogy to give." Just as before, the Phoenix has come and gone, doing some good and leaving tons of pain that will hopefully heal with time. On that note, were you Team Avengers or Team X-Men? Or maybe a bit of both? Let us know what you think in the comments section. This has been Alexandra Macedo, and we'll catch you all in the next video.